What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, man, I wanted to do something a little differently. I wanted to upload a video kind of going over some builds for the MW2 weapons in MW3. Because the last couple of times I did videos for weapon builds here on MW3, the build's kind of been based around the MW3 weapons themselves, which is, great and all, but there's a large portion of the guns, over 50% of the guns, are MW2 guns, which are the kind of the larger majority, which I feel like a lot of people are either not using because they don't have good builds, or are using but they have really bad builds, and I want to solve that issue going forward. So today we got a handful of guns that I want to showcase that I think are really good builds, and some guns that I think are good builds but are really medium in terms of how good they are. So let's get right into it. So the first one here that we're going to be going over here is the MP5SD, or the Lockman Strat as it's well known in game. I don't know why it's there. It goes. I don't know why it's not loading. But this is the build that I'm running for the Lockman Shroud. This is the build I ran for the Ultra Mastery, which I just finished, I think, about 2 weeks ago now. I haven't really been playing COD all that much this past week or so since I moved. I just haven't. I don't know what it is, man. My controllers aren't working properly, so I just haven't been really vibing with playing COD just because of the controller issue. Once I figure out why my controllers feel the way they do, I plan on playing COD again. But it doesn't stop me from being able to make these builds for you guys, so expect a lot of these videos going forward because these are something super easy I can do for you guys that can go really far away for you. So anyway, here's the MP5SD build that I've been running. We're running that 170mm grapple VI barrel, the 9mm sub OP ammunition, the DR6 hand stop underbarrel, and then we're running the 50-round drum magazine. Now, there's two different ways you can go with the MP5SD. You can either run without the conversion, and in that case, run either a stock or a rear grip, in my personal opinion, or rotate out for those two attachments and swap out for the jack decimator conversion kit. Now, what this decimator conversion kit does is allows you guys to run this thing full auto compared to burst mode. Now, why that's important? When you already have an MP5 in the game as full auto, which is the Lockman sub, is pretty simple. The Shroud is a gun that you're going to want to use over the course of your experience playing this game. It is the only SMG in the game that has the MP5 stats, but also has the damage output of some of the other ARs, because this thing does have a decent damage output, especially up close. So again, this is going to be something you might want to run, even if you don't care about stats wise. So this is going to give you the best version of that gun, especially if you're an MP5 player already. Coming to this with the conversion kit will make this thing just feel like an MP5 all over again. So highly recommend it. Super easy. Let's go on to the next one. For the next one, we got the 9mm Damon, or the 1911. Fun fact about this specific Damon weapon, this is actually the 1911 John Wick uses in, I believe, Chapter 3, I think it is. So you can actually find this 1911 for sale. I think it's about a $700 1911, so it's a pretty expensive handgun, but it looks very, very cool. So for this, we're using the SA Longfire, the 9mm high grain rounds. We're using the 26 round mag, the rapid 30 trigger, and the Sergeant, so it basically is SGT, or Sergeant, grip. Now this is probably my favorite MW2 pistol in the game. It has a really good trigger finger, and by that I mean it's unlimited, so as fast as you can fire, as fast as the bullets will come out. It has really good recoil control, so you're not really having to reposition the handgun a lot. It kind of stays where you want it to stay. And his damage is insane. This thing can 2-3 shots on the button very quickly, especially if your trigger finger is really good. So you can treat this thing as a mini SMG if you wanted to, depending how good you are with it. But highly recommend it. Overall, I think if you're going to go for another pistol, maybe go for one of the other pistols I have on this list. But I think definitely 9mm Damon is probably your most secured secondary weapon. One of the next ones, we got the M4. Now the M4 I have a couple different builds for. Specifically in this video, I want to go over the one I just made recently, which is I think the best for my guys who are being a little more aggressive but defensive. They're kind of in the middle. And this M4 is kind of designed for that reason. It's going to have a really good damage output, a little bit higher in the recoil, but you're going to be a little bit more quicker with it, so it kind of covers a lot of the bases. For this, we are running the High Tower 20 barrel. We're running the Sonic Suppressor muzzle. We are running the DR6 hand stop. We're running the 45 rounder mag and the Sakin ZX grip. This thing's an absolute beast. If you guys want some of the other builds, let me down below. I got a couple others. I've also some realism builds that I'm working on currently. I want to do a real milsim build for every gun in the game at some point down the line, but we're kind of just, that's going to take some time to work on. But if I have some other PvP builds for the M4, it's one of my favorite guns, if not my favorite gun in Modern Warfare 2. So I got tons of builds for this thing, long range, short range, mid range, all types of different ones. I even have a DMZ build that I can throw on. So just let me know if you guys are interested in seeing those. Next up, we have the Tech 9. Now, this is something I've been seeing a lot, actually, in Search and Destroy recently. I don't know what's caused this thing to spike again, because there for a while, I didn't see anybody use it for, like, a solid year. I mean, I seen it in Modern Warfare 2, and then Modern Warfare 3 came out, saw a little bit Season 1. After Season 1, didn't see it at all, hardly being used, and now all of a sudden it spiked again. Not too sure why. It's kind of a mid-tier secondary. The reason people, I think, like it so much now is simply for that fire rate. So you're able to switch to this if you run out of ammo, and it's basically a secondary weapon that's basically a primary. It's just on the weaker side compared to all the other secondaries. So we're running on this thing the Ratchet BE barrel, the Rebel HX underbarrel, 72 round drum, the F-Tac Steed, and the F-Tac holder. So again, pretty solid. This thing's gonna have a lot of recoil. Well, okay, so it won't have as much recoil as compared to ADS Hurt. But it will still have a lot of recoil. The biggest thing for this is going to be this ADS speed. You're not going to button down size fast. And if you take off that ratchet barrel and you don't have a barrel at all, this thing will ADS just basically as fast as a pistol. But you do lose a lot of that damage, which is kind of what you're using this thing for. So kind of give or take on what you want. On to the next gun. We have the AK, specifically the cast-off 7.62 AK. There's a couple different AKs in the game. But for today, we're going to focus on the 7.62. I think that 7.62 is probably the more superior of the AK category compared to the 74U, the AK 545, and obviously the MW3 AK. So this is what we're running here for the 7.62. We're running the Spirit Suppressor L, or VT7, the Bruin Heavy Support Underbarrel, the 40 round mag, and the ProLite TL3 stock with the conversion kit. So this conversion kit turns this into an AK-12, or a gun from, like, if you remember, Advanced Warfare had one. Ghost, I believe, had the AK-12, and I believe one of the other CODs that I can't really pinpoint off the top of my head had an AK-12. But the AK-12 is one of my favorite AKs in gaming. I'm personally in real life, I love the AK-101. It's my favorite AK variant. But in video games, oftentimes the AK-12 is my favorite variant just because it has low recoil, good damage, and it just looks nice. It's a clean-looking weapon. This one's a little funky because of the stock and the underbarrel I have, but for the most part, it looks pretty cool as well. And this is going to be probably the most superior AK for any long-range fighting. Because this thing's an absolute monster when it comes to long range since it has no recoil. The AK-12 conversion kit gives an insane amount of recoil control, so you can really control this thing very, very easily. You can do this shit in your sleep pretty much, so very good for that long range. It does struggle a little up close, but again, you can have something like the F-Tac on your secondary slot or the Damon and kind of cover your rim when it comes up close. But it's really up to you. Up next is just a simple combat knife. I wanted to throw a melee weapon of some sort in here, so I'm running the combat knife. It's also one of the guns I'm working on for the Ultra Mastery, so it just happens to be convenient. But obviously, I think it's the best melee weapon in the game currently, for Modern Warfare 2 weapons specifically. Obviously, if you're using Modern Warfare 3 weapons, the sword or the sledgehammer or whatever might be better, but Modern Warfare 2 weapons, the knife is the best. A lot of the MW2 melees two-shot, they don't one-shot. The knife does one-shot, however, so it's very good that you can get something on one-shot too, such too. The last two guns coming up here on the list are the RPK. Now, the RPK is another M4 for me, where I have a bunch of different builds for it, because the RPK is very complex, but is also very, very simple. So you can make a bunch of different builds with it, but those builds can only do so much because the RPK is still an LMG at its at its lowest point. So I went for more of an RPK LMG AR hybrid. You can see with the stock and the barrel are more designed for LMG use, so they're going to be a little bit heavier. But the mag I'm running is designed to be more like an AR. So kind of works both ways. So for this, we're using the TAC 597 barrel, the SL skeletal vertical grip, the 4-round magazine, the Demo X2 grip, and the heavy support stock. So very simple build, very good. And on to the next and last gun for this video. We have the Deagle, one of my favorite pistols in COD history. I think there's a 50 cal Deagle is just one of those most iconic weapons you can use. And so for the example of this video, for the first video in the Modern Warfare 2 weapons in Modern Warfare 3, I figured it'd be nice to throw the Deagle in there. So we got the SA Tyrant 50 barrel, the 50 pistol armor ammunition, the 13 round mag, the SA hair trigger, and the EFX resistance grip. So very simple build. That's going to be good for those medium to long range engagements where you can just pick them off one shot to the head. Very, very simple and very good. It is what it is. It's a Deagle. It's just fun to use. Obviously not. I don't think it's going to be as useful as something like the Daemon, because the Daemon you can actually run around with and it won't be too much of a hassle. But the Deagle has its place and it's enjoyable to use. So in those cases, it's usually pretty good. With that being said, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope these builds are helpful. I'm going to try to put out one of these videos every couple of days until we go through all of MW2 weapons. And then obviously we'll go back and do any MW3 weapons I have not done yet. But I hope you guys found this video helpful or enjoyed it in any way. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff down below. Content's coming soon. It's just taking me a while to get adjusted to where I've moved. So once I get adjusted and get all that stuff figured out, the schedule will be back to normal. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Also, I did upload a quick update video a couple days ago, but it seems that YouTube has a vendetta against my update videos. So it has been blocked in numerous territories. So I may decide to do another one down the line. Maybe just an update one to update the update. But yeah, I don't know. It got blocked, and I don't want to try to let YouTube mess with the music because it's never good when YouTube messes with the music. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will be working on more classes for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.